How will you choose to alter a book? There are so many possibilities, but don't let that stop you. Don't let that intimidate you. You can always start another and another and another. Today I'm going to talk to you about different possibilities for altering a book. And I've got some from my collection here that I'm going to show you and talk to you about, and hopefully you'll find some inspiration as you go out and find your own book. Where to start? We'll start over here. This is one of my favorite books. This is The School of the Sea, and this is the journal that I created before going to Key West for my retreat there. And for the captain's blog, I had to do some images beforehand. I love the size of this book. I love the red. This is what the story was, this Operation Red Jericho. I love, like I said, the size. I never worked this small. I love that it has this little thing here, but you guys could make one for yourself. It's just elastic. And I like how these pages are rounded, kind of like those Moleskine journals. And inside, like in different chapters, this opens. And this was already here, and it already said like confidential material. And so I incorporated that into my School of the Sea. And it was kind of fun having to cut and round all my pages there. You see, there were all these cool things here, and especially this one at the end. I can never figure out how to... No, that's not it. Where is that? This one... It's very complicated. Okay, let's see. Like this. Wow. And that was in there, but you can add stuff like that yourself. You know, so you'll just know, like I had bought this at a library sale, and it already sort of had this boat theme, and I just picked it up one day. I was like, wow, this is it. It's perfect. This is the book that I used for my journal in Greece, my sketchbook in Greece. And it's an old atlas. I love this leather cover. Look, you can even see where it was like, it's spongy underneath. So I'll have to somehow fix that. And in every book, and this one's really old, from all the page turning, it's going to break. The spine is going to break. That's the most fragile part. You know, everything where we're pulling down here to open, that's fragile. It's going to break. You know, so don't not choose a book because it's too fragile. Choose because you love it. Choose because it chooses you and says, yeah, I want to do something for you. I want to teach you something. Don't let the nature of a book stop you from using it. Whether you think it's, you know, it's too fragile, it's going to fall apart on you, it's not going to work, the paper's too thin, and yet the book keeps saying, please pick me. I want to show you something. I have something to teach you. You're like, no, 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 look, it's going to fall apart tomorrow anyways. You know, and the paper's so crappy. Look at this. Look how it just like, whoa. But this is a problem for me to solve, and in solving that problem, I'm going to learn a lot about myself that I can't learn from any other book. This book is special. It's wise. It wants to show me and tell me something. So when you get that feeling of, wow, this, and you go, oh, no, no. Yes. Yes. So then it's up to you to solve the problems that the book presents you with. So, these were the end papers. They were beautiful, and I just kind of left them and added my things from Greece, and I still have more space. I never finished because, you know, it was on to another adventure. So then I was on to the next adventure, which was Egypt. And I love this book, also very fragile. This was a calendar. No, this was an address book that my mom bought for my grandma, like in 1977, when the King Tut exhibit was in Chicago. And my mother actually performed a belly dance show for them, which is pretty exciting. And I love, speaking of tabs, Look at how cool these are. All along the side, these old letters here, because it was for the calendar. So I'll work those into the theme of my book. And I don't normally use a spiral. I don't like it because the pages get so fragile here. But look, you can kind of hang. I found this in Egypt, and I tied it on there. The pages are very old, and so a lot of them I tried to stiffy up a little bit and add a little bit to them. Some of them have these glossy pages. So in terms of experimentation and solving problems, you know, having this absorbent matte paper next to the slick paper, you know, what am I going to do? Do I need to make this slick? Do I need to cover over this? And in this particular book, this had plenty of places for me to write. When you're going to be asked to do some writing assignments in an altered book, you might have to consider that. Do you write in the background here? Do you paint over the page? Do you gesso it? Can you tape it? Can you glue something on top of it? Here I sort of did my writing around it. I also painted my page. Here I've masking taped my page, and then I don't know if that's paint or gesso. And so some of these, you know, I was able to work with the theme of the book for my trip, which was really fun. And I like taping over pages. You can still see the addresses coming in underneath. And one of these pages is awesome. It's all the addresses of my whole life are in there. So here's just making some backgrounds for some things I can work back on top to. Fashion. Next time I go to Egypt, I'm going to dress real nice. Okay. So we'll just go through these. This is one I've been working on for a long time. It was this book, Stephen Mitchell's The Essence of Wisdom. It's a little book. And the thing I hated about the book, let me see if I can find a page, is that it had all these great quotes and then empty paper. So here's one of the quotes, and then the rest of this would have been blank page. I hate waste. Like, that just freaks me out. So what I did was I circled the quotes that I liked, and then I went through and created a journal for myself. This one I took with me to Ecuador, and so there were some things in it. You know, it's a visual journal, so some of it is incomplete. You know, half-baked ideas. Others are really worked. Ooh, So this is the book, the Wisdom book, that only had the quotes. So here's one of them, and I actually wrote on parts of it and used it, but the rest of the page was blank. So I worked around it and incorporated this text, and so some pages I took off those quotes. I didn't want them. This one I left, and then was able to journal. Oh, I guess I had this in Greece as well. And then I could do some writing on the sides here, and here I just covered over it. I guess I didn't care about that one. You know, and so when I have some writing, but I don't want people to read it as easily, I had these overlays that I stuck, but just so that I could keep that. But there was a lot of blank paper here that I could write and use. I love this little book. This one's an old little ledger. It actually has, you know, people's writing in it. Not a lot. So I was thinking of just using this as a writing journal, and I love these numbers at the top. But I started to turn into a sketchbook. You can see I've got just one page. But it also has these cool tabs here, so there's more ideas for tabs. And this paper is really thin and flimsy. It doesn't matter. It can still work as a book. And here's a kid's book, Growth in Arithmetic, and I just kept the growth, and I don't know what I'll say here. And then I turned it into, I have a book process that I call, and actually this was a group project. Me and Tracy Bunkers and Karen Michelle were doing a journal round robin, and so here are my instructions. I left this front page, and then this is my diary sectional book. So I took, I mean, it's a whole class. It's really cool and fun. And then everybody had to work in these. So you know, every time you flip it, it becomes a new page, and so you really have to think about working back and forth, because every time you turn it, oh shoot, does that go there? And so on these you can see everybody's just writing in between and making tapes and space to do their writing in here. So hopefully you're getting some. And here, when we talk about altering the books, there's text in there. So when you want to do your writing, if it's far enough apart, you can just do it right in between the lines, and that'll work just fine. Okay, on this page, I want to show you where the text, this is the original text from the page. So when you're altering a book, you're going to have a lot of maybe, I'm assuming writing, but maybe pictures. So when you want to work over it and write, so here Tracy has added tape and is writing between the lines, which in some books will fit. In others, you won't be able to do that. I don't necessarily want you to read Tracy's writing or anyone's writing here, but like here's another example, and this isn't an altered book, but here's one of Karen Michelle's pieces, and it's on a photograph. I'm trying to tilt it so you can see the shiny and how she's fitting the text in there. This is my circus book. I love circus imagery. I've got all my some little collage things in here. I don't work in this too much, and mainly because I'm really attached to the images in here. I love them. This one I did work, and I love this page too. But this is, kind of what they look like, and I've just been working back and forth, sticking things in here, but I'm pretty attached to it. I also, and I didn't do a lot, I'll have to take out more, but I took out a lot of pages to make space for my spine. I have books that I just let grow, but mainly I like them to fit in there. So I'll have to take more pages out of that. This is another diary sectional that I have, and I'm still trying to blend the pages. That takes a long time. And some of them I just used, old postcards as the tags. So it's really fun. Oh, cool. I put a little record there. That's cool, Jewel. This is an altered book that is an artist book that I did in art school. And I made this cool, well, actually I didn't, but I say I did. I take full credit because it was my idea, but my boyfriend at the time made it for me. I couldn't get my hands to do the wire, so he had to do it. But it was my idea, and it's cool. And I had this series of really small psychology books from like 1918, 1920. And what I did, and I did such a terrible job, you can see my gluing, but I sewed pages together. I glued and then sewed them. I made some windows. And I covered them all with handmade paper that I had made with my hair in it. And then some of them I put the medium on, and it turned it to look like skin. That's cool. But back then I just left the text there, that it was the artist's book. This is not a visual journal. I'm not necessarily trying to talk about, my personal. I'm trying to create an art project here, and this was a story about my brother. I kind of never really finished it, and I don't know what I'll do with that, but it's precious to me, so it has to go back in its little prison. It's called The Prisoner. And this is a book that Tracy Bunkers and I do journal trades, and this one's called About Ourselves, Psychology for Normal People. And it has totally fallen apart. Tracy and I work back and forth in it, and she was trying to sew it back in. We haven't really decided, how to fix it, but all these pages are out. And so I've started, I started to put fabric in here to strengthen that. And then I'll make booklets out of all these pages somehow and try to sew them back in and rework it again. I'm not sure how that's all going to go down yet. All right. This is going to be a great book to alter. This is so beautiful. My dear friend Carol Parks gave this to me. I saw it and said, that's so pretty. She said, you can have it. And this is one of those great old photo albums. You can take these out, and have windows and doors, or, completely cover over the pages. This could be a visual journal. This could be an artist book, but it's really beautiful. And then this little weird book, I found the covers, and in one of my workshops there was a comic book in the center, collage bin. I took it out, taped it up, and taped it in here with, what's this?
Duct tape.
Duct tape. And this was here. In this book cover, somebody had already done this crazy little painting on here, which makes the book for me. You know, you'll just find stuff in some books that you'll have to do that. So this was just a comic book here that I started to alter. So you can take something else and put it in the book cover. There's lots of things you guys can do. This one I had this great idea to say to Ready Made. I think they used to have, what year is this, like 2002 or something, and they would have challenges. What can you Ready Made, or what can you do with their magazine? So I had, like, look what I Ready Made. I made a visual journal. It's an altered magazine. It's a visual journal. And I was going to make it, 2003. I was going to make it, send it to them, and then I hoped I would get published. But I never. It's 2010. Who's to say where that's going to go? So this was another journal round robin that I did with some friends of mine here in Albuquerque. And this is my friend Valerie's book, The School of the Sea. And I loved that title so much, and I loved working in this book so much, that became the theme of my Key West retreat. But that was based on a pirate workshop I had been dreaming of doing in Florida for years. So I put the two of them together. And so here's Valerie's book, and this is Valerie's work, and she had a very specific rules for working in her book. She didn't want anybody to write in it. She wanted you to use found text. So I think these are still her pages. So, and this was a Western series books, and she completely got rid of that. And I think this is my little section here. And, so everybody's just been working in it. There's like 6 different friends and artists working in this book. This is one of the journals that I'm working in now. It was a kid's history book. And the drawings and sketches and paintings in here are really beautiful. So I'm sort of attached to them too. Well, let's see. I think I've just been covering over them. I'm not that good at altering a book. It's very hard for me to use the images that already appear here because I just work over the whole thing as if it's blank. I just get in such a frenzy that, well, there's not that much good stuff in here, but that I just lose what was there before. This is a bigger book. And my sister loves to use books that many people would be afraid to work back into. This is an old decorating book, but she has a giant coffee table art book on Buddhas from around the world, and she altered that for her journal. She's a yogini, and so her book is very sacred to her, very precious. And when you see it, it gives the energy of the book so much. It has so much weight to begin with. So her working in it is, I wish I had that I could share that with you guys so you could see. So this is a bigger book that I've been altering. I started this a long time ago. There's some terrible things I'm embarrassed for you guys to see. So I just work back and forth, adding things. Who knows where this is going to go. And this little plastic thing on here, taping over stuff. This was in the Pirates blog. The Captain's blog. Just working on different things. Again, trying to make room for my pages. This is one of my other favorite books, The Little Naked Cowgirl. So this was a book on the West, Cowboys and Cattle Something, that I reworked. And this, for some reason, I did use a lot of the images that already appeared here, and I really related to them, and I really liked them. I found that doing this sort of Wild West or pioneering theme was as easy as the School of the Sea theme. I find it difficult to work in a theme because, every day you're different. How do you know if you're going to want to work in the same way? So this was very easy with the Western theme to continue to tell my story in a way that felt authentic and valid while still doing some assignments from some of my workshops when working with my students. I love this book. And I used to get these in the 90s. I would get these Herb Ritts calendars, and I loved them. They seemed so substantial with their, you know, canvas covers. And this book was, my ex and I had a Volkswagen bus, and we'd travel around Albuquerque in it. And so this was our road trip journal, and I would work in it. And these were just, you know, the images that were there. You know, so it's just kind of more of a scrapbook maybe. And I never finished this either. Oh, here I got a sunburn. Photos of us. Oh, I love this book. Who knows what she's going to have to do with our trip. You know, just even left some of the notes from my calendar, so as I would come across them, oh, I want to remember that. That was great. So I saved that, and I can't stand to throw anything away except especially a book. And so my old calendars, here's another one. I rework them. This one I did, I forgot I did this. So this one was falling apart. Whenever you take pages out, you'll take tons out. No matter how many you take out, it's not enough. When we do the demo, you'll see, like, you want the covers to almost close, but it's still not going to be enough. Anyways, I had this cool snake skin fabric that I glued on the outside of here, which I love. Who knows what this is going to be. But so this book was called Dear Fellow Traveler, or Dear Fellow Mortal. And mainly the work I did in here, I had a group of friends, a group of students who wanted me to do the artist way with them. You know, be their guide. And I said, that's fine, but we're going to have to do it a la me. So I made everyone keep a visual journal, and every week, based on whatever the week was about, or whatever assignments Julia Cameron had set up for us, I made us do a visual journaling assignment about it. And I actually, you know, this is this one is not really artwork. You know, so when I talk about the visual journal being incomplete images, it's just ideas. But Julia Cameron was here, and I went to a luncheon where she did a class, and I showed her this book, and she was pretty excited. She was like, wow, I inspired that, wow. All right, let's see. I thought I had another one here. No, but here's some, you know, postal books like this. I have a friend that loves to work on these old scrapbooks. The paper just disintegrates. But she loves taping them up and mending them and taking care of them. So here are my ideas for altar books. You guys are way cooler than I am. I know you're going to come up with some better ideas than this. So I want you to brainstorm. What could be considered a book? What is a book that you can change and alter? Starting out with a blank sketchbook and putting artwork in it is not altering a book. Like, that's its original purpose. That's what it was meant to be. Or a journal or something, like, that's already meant to be used in that manner. So, you know, when you pick a book, you know, you want to consider size, paper, cover, you know, how does the paper feel? You know, pick it up. Does it feel good? Does it feel right? And don't worry, you know, in this process, it's not linear. We're not creating an artist book. We're creating a visual journal, and you can see many of mine are started years ago, some of them 20 years ago, and I've never finished them. It's not time for them. I'll come back to them some other day, some other year. I'm patient. That's okay. In the meantime, I'll start playing more. So that's Altered Books. Go out and find your own book to alter.